Stephen Williams, do you ever get nervous about the road your life has taken and stop reflecting on it? It's an interesting question, Martin. I guess what you mean by that is, have I ever looked at, where I'm going, what I'm doing with my life since leaving Scientology, and am I nervous about it, or do I ever, stop and smell the roses and take a look what's happening? And if that's, I think that's how I'm interpreting your question. And the answer would be that, yeah, I do that all the time. I'm a fairly introspective person. I know I look like a big extrovert. I talk a lot, and I use my hands, and and I'm loud and boisterous, and sometimes I'm even domineering in conversation. But I don't feel like that. I don't feel like a big extrovert. Over the last few years, I have done a lot of inward looking at things, and sometimes I have almost. Sometimes on an almost daily basis, I will just kind of stop and look around and see where I'm at and what's going on. I look at my beautiful wife. I look at my car. I look at our cat. I look at where I've come to, what I'm doing, what I've accomplished, what I want to accomplish still. But mainly looking at where I've gotten to. And I compare it to where I was and what I used to do and the things I used to dream about and think about. When I was in the Sea Org, it was a luxury to go get a Coke. It was a luxury to have a few hours off of work. And you were never really off work. You were never really not thinking about what was going on around you with your job in the Sea Org. Right? You are your post. It's not a thing you're assigned to do, and that's just your job, and you go do it for 8 hours a day, and you kind of put up with it because you need the paycheck. It's way different from that. It's a commitment. It's a lifestyle. It is a full life commitment, right? You don't expect to ever retire. You don't expect to ever stop doing what you're doing. So there is no end in sight. There's no retirement coming up. There's no break you're going to get. You're just going to keep going, and you're going to keep going and going and going. And you hope that in the course of doing that, you will get up the bridge to total freedom as a Scientologist, and you'll get all this wonderful skill and ability and awareness, and everything will be wonderful. But the breaks are few and far between. And so I found myself as a Sea Org member dreaming. My dreams, my aspirations were to have a well-cooked steak meal. That was the height of luxury for me. That used to represent a well-made, amazing meal represented to me the height of what I could expect out of life. To me, rich people were people who got to eat really good food. And I'm not a foodie. I'm talking here about food, but I'm just trying to represent that my goals were not star high. I didn't have these huge expectations when I was in the Sea Org about what kind of luxuries and finer things of life I would ever have available to me. So these were the things I used to dream about and think about. I wish I could go see a movie this Saturday. Wouldn't that be, or Sunday when I can get some time off? Wouldn't that be amazing? Maybe I can see this movie this time. Or, like I said, a really nice meal or something. And that was as good as my life was going to get, because I was dedicating all this time to the Sea Org. So now I say all that so that I can juxtapose it with how my life is now. I can go out and get a steak anytime I want. I go to movies all the time. I watch movies here in my home. I spend time on my computer. I write. I play Magic the Gathering with my wife. We play with the cat. We do all these fun things that I never even imagined I would have the time or luxury or resources to be able to do. So I reflect on that constantly because that's still, in many, many ways, even though it's been a few years now, in so many ways, this is all still new for me. Maybe it's not for other people. I'm 48 years old. I'm about to turn 49 this month. I've lived a lot of life, and I should be, kind of more acclimated to this by now. But, I've got 27 years of this nonsense lifestyle that I lived. And it wasn't like when I was on staff, things, in Santa Barbara, that things were a whole lot better because I didn't have any money and I didn't have any time when I was there. So that kind of is a lot of the same as how my life was when it was in the Sea Org, So, so that's been, how I've been approaching things. And of course, there's all the stuff that goes on up here too. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in another question in this episode here. But that's what I can say about that. And I in terms of getting nervous about the road my life has taken, I do get a little nervous sometimes about where it's going to go exactly. I don't have it all figured out. I've got some basic guidelines of what I want to do and where I'm going, and I think I'm on that road. But sometimes I get a little nervous about, well, am I going to make it? Is it really going to go? Is this going to happen? Or where am I going with all this? But for now, I've got this channel. I've got these books I want to write. I've got these videos I want to produce. I've got a game plan to do that, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now. So thanks for asking about that, Martin, and I hope I didn't bore you too much with that very extended answer to your very short question.